Hi, if the Secretary of State's office goes away, will any bill that the governor signs go directly into effect, or will someone else be taking over that waiting period?
I would imagine that someone else in a nonpartisan office would be taking over that particular responsibility for the Secretary of State.
But that issue isn't addressed in your proposal
No,
specifically?
it is not.
What about other duties of the state treasurer, secretary of state? Are those addressed in this proposal? What happens to the job duties that you have now?
No, as far as where we put these bills, because we have this 3-year process, there's lots of time to consider where indeed is the best offices to put these. So we do not address it at this time.
How can we get a sense in terms of the overall caseload, for lack of a better word, that your office handles? So a sense of the volume that would have to be divvied up amongst other agencies?
Well, our unclaimed property division, we publish our figures monthly. The LGIP, we publish those figures monthly. So everything we do here is out in the public and available for you to view.
What's the reason? I mean, are you looking at a substantial cost savings here?
I believe that there would be, define substantial, I believe that there definitely would be a cost savings. Immediately, we're talking about the salaries of the treasurer, the salaries of the deputy treasurer, also through the efficiency and resources of the other areas that these programs might be put into. There would be some cost savings there. I think the largest cost savings would be in the growth of some of these programs. So the effect would come from 2 different areas.
Wouldn't there need to be additional staff, though, wherever you're shifting these duties and responsibilities to handle the jobs that are being done in these
For my
offices?
2 months in office, no. They're simple, they're direct. This is an ministerial position, and I believe that I don't think that there would be any added costs. In other words, we wouldn't have to appoint a treasurer as the office is broken up. They would go to probably 3 very different places and would become under the auspices of the offices that they're given to.
They're falling under the auspices of political appointees rather than elected officials. Why not go the other way and work to restore more powers to an elected office that's under the control and accountability of voters as opposed to political appointees?
Well, there isn't that much that really affects the state of Wisconsin and the voters of Wisconsin, because the office has been so stripped over the years that I don't think that would apply. I mean, I believe that from what I've seen in my 2.5 months in office, we do not need to have this as a publicly elected constitutional office, and the job can be done better by an administrative position. Basically, my position is ministerial.
Could you go over how your office is funded? From our understanding, it's not fully funded with taxpayer dollars, correct?
It's not at all funded by taxpayers. That is correct. The benefit would be, as you know, we support the Common School Fund. And I, as the Commissioner of Board of Public Lands, also work to support the Common School Fund. So all efficiencies, all growth in revenue, every single dollar would go to the Common School Fund, which supports our public libraries. Now, a natural outgrowth of that would be an increase to these entities and would take pressure off of local school boards and would have effect on property taxes across Wisconsin.
What kind of communication have you had so far with the Secretary of State about this?
I have talked to the Secretary of State. We did meet in my office.
What was the conversation?
Well, he was urging me to change my position, which is, I can't do. It's a fundamentally held principle that I have. And I campaigned on this both in the primary and in the general election. It's been a central theme of my campaign from the beginning. I filed papers to become the treasurer. So to go back at this point in time would be hypocritical and I think would be not well received by the voters of Wisconsin.
There have been legislative proposals to do this sort of thing many times in the past, often including the Lieutenant Governor's office as well. You chose not to include that in this proposal. Why single out Secretary of State and not include Lieutenant Governor?
Constitutionally, the Board of Public Lands requires 3 constitutional offers to do its duty. If I eliminated the Attorney General, we would be unable to fulfill that constitutional duty. So, in the event, as I stated in my statement, the Attorney General would take the place of my office, and in the event that the voters decide the Secretary of State should be eliminated, the Department of Public Instruction Superintendent would take the place of the Secretary of State. That's the key. We have to remain true to our Constitution. The board, commissioners of the Board of Public Lands, has been in our Constitution since its inception. As a matter of fact, it was before the inception. And this is one of government offices that has truly done an outstanding job over the years and has never been questioned in how it deals. So to maintain that integrity, we do need a constitutional officer. So we need the Attorney General to take that position.
The Lieutenant Governor is what I
The
asked.
Lieutenant Governor, excuse me.
You consider this office a waste of taxpayer money?
I consider electing a constitutional officer towards it. I have never attacked any of the programs involved in it. They do fabulous work. We are returning money to Wisconsinites at a record amount. I was just in Green Bay at an educational forum for older people in retirement, and one of the sessions was on just this issue. And we returned some $1,300 in the space of 3 hours to people who came and visited these meetings. That's just 40 people. And I will be very visible at large events, county fairs, wherever large numbers of people come to, with my unclaimed property database, and I want to raise the profile of what this office does to a level that no other treasurer has.
The Secretary of State has said that the elimination of his office would continue to make it. He says it's already become more difficult for Wisconsin businesses to grow because a lot of powers have been removed from his office, and that taking away his office altogether would make it, the business climate here, even more difficult. What would you say to that?
I would say that the Secretary of State, as a separate constitutional officer, is free to comment his beliefs, as I am free to comment on my beliefs. But I feel, with what our legislature has done in the first part of the emergency session, putting in the job creation incentives, creating at the Department of Commerce a more quasi-private enterprise, you can just look at the result of the Lieutenant Governor, who made cold calls. Now, she was derided by some in the media for making cold calls, but the result of that is one of the companies she cold called is now bringing 100 jobs to Wisconsin. So I would respectfully disagree with the Secretary of State, but I have respect for his office.
What about the timing of this? The Secretary of State also was discussing how he thought the timing was interesting while he's been so visible with the budget repair bill and, dealing with the court legal matters.
I'm fulfilling a campaign promise that I made more than a year and a half ago. So I don't think you can question the timing.